Our story plunges into the tumultuous inner world of Conor O'Malley, a solitary and deeply troubled 13-year-old boy living in a grey, unassuming English town. Conor carries an overwhelming weight of fear, sadness, and anger that isolates him from the world. His beloved mother is battling terminal cancer, her body growing weaker with each passing day, undergoing increasingly ineffective treatments that offer little hope. At school, Conor is relentlessly tormented by a cruel bully named Harry, who preys on his vulnerability and makes his days a misery. He feels profoundly isolated, sensing a growing distance from his peers who don't understand his pain, and even from his seemingly stern and pragmatic grandmother, who is already making cold, logical preparations for him to live with her, a future Conor dreads more than anything. Each night, a terrifying recurring nightmare plagues him. A chilling, visceral vision of his mother, teetering on the edge of a dark, bottomless abyss, her hands slipping from his desperate grasp as she falls into the void. One night, at precisely 7 minutes past midnight, a pivotal moment of transition from one day to the next, a colossal, ancient yew tree from the graveyard overlooking his window undergoes an astonishing, impossible transformation. Its gnarled branches, deep roots, and leafy canopy reshape into a towering, fearsome, yet strangely compelling monster. The monster, a creature of raw nature, bark, leaves, and ancient wisdom, announces its presence to a surprised but remarkably unafraid Conor. It declares that it has come to tell him 3 true stories, complex and challenging parables from times long past. In return, after the monster's 3 enigmatic tales are complete, Conor must fulfill his side of the bargain. He must tell the monster a 4th story, the raw, unvarnished truth of his own recurring nightmare, a truth he has kept buried deep within himself. The monster's stories are not the comforting, saccharine fairy tales Conor might expect, designed to soothe or entertain. Instead, they are complex, morally ambiguous parables that deliberately challenge Conor's simplistic, black-and-white understanding of good and evil, justice and injustice. The first tale speaks of a wicked prince who, through manipulation, deceit, and even murder, manages to achieve power, yet paradoxically, rules justly and is ultimately remembered fondly by his people. This tale forces Conor to grapple with the idea that actions and intentions aren't always clear-cut. The second tells of a rigid, self-righteous parson whose unwavering faith leads to tragic consequences when he stubbornly refuses the practical wisdom of an apothecary, resulting in the needless death of his innocent daughters. This story highlights the dangers of blind adherence to belief over truth and compassion. The third is a brief, poignant story about an invisible man who, desperate to be seen and acknowledged, calls a monster into existence, only to find himself more alone than ever, ironically rendered truly invisible by the very attention he craved. This tale speaks to the isolation Conor himself feels. Each of the monster's stories, told over subsequent nights at that precise minute past midnight, has a profound and often destructive impact on Conor's waking life, mirroring his inner turmoil and repressed emotions. Following the monster's lessons in chaos and the complexities of human nature, he lashes out violently at his bully, Harry, in a desperate act of defiance that surprises even himself, causing a physical altercation that gets him in trouble. In a fit of overwhelming frustration, grief, and helplessness over his mother's declining health, he utterly destroys his grandmother's cherished sitting room, smashing irreplaceable heirlooms, an act that reflects his internal rage and inability to control his circumstances. He struggles desperately with his own conflicted emotions, clinging to a sliver of irrational hope for his mother's miraculous recovery while simultaneously, guiltily, wishing for the agonizing pain to end for both of them. His grandmother, initially perceived as cold, strict, and unfeeling, is revealed to be battling her own profound grief and fear, hardening herself emotionally to prepare for the inevitable. His estranged father visits from America, offering little more than superficial comfort and ultimately confirming Conor's dreaded future, his permanent placement with his grandmother, as his father is moving on with a new family and has no room for him. As his mother's condition rapidly deteriorates, her body ravaged by the relentless illness, Conor's nightmare becomes increasingly vivid, more terrifying, almost tangible, bleeding into his waking thoughts. The monster presses him relentlessly for his fourth story, the truth of his nightmare, its patience wearing thin. Conor resists with all his might, consumed by immense guilt and the crippling belief that admitting the truth will be too painful, too real, too monstrous for him to bear. He believes acknowledging his innermost, darkest thoughts makes him a bad, unforgivable person. Finally, at his mother's hospital bedside, surrounded by the sterile quiet of the room, the air thick with unspoken grief, the towering, ancient monster now looms over him, its presence unmistakable. Conor can no longer hold back. The emotional dam breaks. He confronts his deepest, darkest secret, the agonizing truth that has haunted his subconscious and made him feel profoundly ashamed. In his nightmare, as his mother teetered on the precipice, he deliberately let go of her hand. He confesses that a part of him, a terrible, shameful part that he wishes wasn't there, secretly wished for her suffering to end, even if it meant her death, while simultaneously, desperately, irrationally wanting her to live. The monster, instead of condemning him or judging his perceived wickedness, embraces Conor in its leafy grasp, a profound gesture of acceptance. It commends Conor for his immense bravery in speaking this agonizing truth, a truth that most humans cannot face. It explains that it is profoundly human to feel contradictory emotions, anger, guilt, fear, and deep love, all at once, especially in the terrifying face of impending loss. There is no such thing as a good or bad emotion when grief is involved. Conor clings to his mother for the last time, holding her hand tightly. As she peacefully passes away, her suffering finally over, at the exact moment of 7 minutes past midnight, he sees something astonishing. She, too, can see the monster, a symbol of the raw, painful truth and acceptance they both faced in her final moments. The monster, its purpose fulfilled, gently fades away, dissolving into the dawn, leaving Conor with a profound understanding of grief, loss, and the complex nature of human emotion. He returns to his grandmother's house, where a newfound understanding, born of shared grief and quiet empathy, begins to bridge the deep gap that had existed between them. Later, Conor discovers his mother's old art book, filled with intricate drawings that reveal a startling revelation. She, too, had been visited by the same ancient monster in her youth during a time of struggle, sketching it in moments of her own pain. This confirms that the monster was not just a figment of his imagination, or a fantastical escape, but a timeless, primal embodiment of the difficult truths of human suffering, the complexities of emotion, and the courageous path to acceptance in the face of inevitable loss, a guide to help navigate the unnavigable.
Text prompting viewers to comment and subscribe. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more updates on this developing story.